talk to us about their national competition that they just had a couple of weeks ago, and overall how we can become powerlifters ourselves. So joining us in studio to my right here, we have Leo Matura, who is a powerlifter. Beside him, we have Miss Sofia Vasquez, and beside her, we have Miss Shakira Tsai. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about powerlifting in Belize. This is I don't want to say it's a new sport. We've kind of been talking about this for some time, but in terms of bringing people into the sport and so forth, how do we make it more inviting, if that's the proper term to use?
Leo?
Spotlight. Powerlifting, competitive powerlifting, I find that it's very inclusive of all ages, gender, even disabilities. They have recently had the Special Olympics being invited into the North American Powerlifting Federation regionals. And so there's no barrier in who can enter powerlifting or not. You just find a gym. There's a lot of resources when it comes to the actual gym programming. And if you really want to, you participate in the nationals. And we recently had the nationals 2 weeks ago now.
Yes.
And we had the Belize Powerlifting Association had hosted it at the SJC gym for 2 days. Day one was females and day two were males. Shakira could speak more of how that nationals went. And
Okay, Shakira, tell us.
Yeah, so day one was actually for the females. This year is actually, it was the 4th year that the Belize Powerlifting Association held its national championships. Leo and I actually have been fortunate enough that we, have been competing since 2021 when they had their first competition. But every year the sport grows. The 2nd year we actually had sub-juniors. We had a team from Kinetic we had 3 sub-juniors. One was my daughter, the other one was Leah's sister, another one was Kaylee, they were all friends. The 3rd year we had 7 people from the gym. So we had 2 master lifters, myself and Audrey, and then we had actually 4 girls. Again, they're teenagers, right? So that also goes to show the diversity of which this sport lends itself to. And last year we also had another team, and this year as well. We just love the sport, just the feeling of being strong, but it's much more than that what the sport gives you, really. The process of training, having to endure, it's a little monotonous, but what happens is that you are able to train your body in such a way where you gradually gain strength. And I think for women that is extremely empowering. And as you get older too, I can speak to the master class as well, because your body starts to change, your posture, you don't do the things that you used to do before, you don't move with the same agility and all of that. And engaging in lifting weights, particularly for women, you want to beat around that stigma that, a woman shouldn't lift, or you lift too heavy, you're going to look bulky. That hasn't happened to me yet, right? And so I think that it is really a sport that more people should consider. You don't have to train to be competitively to actually, go on the platform and compete, but you can train for your own health benefits. This year we have Veronica, who is one of the newest powerlifters, right? This is her 1st year competing, and she can give you her whole story in terms of what has inspired her to do that, because all powerlifters also have a little story behind that. And Veronica has a good one.
I wanted to get to her to tell us a bit about how you started.
Well, at first it seemed unattainable because of my health condition, but after I got inspired by my little cousin, he's been competing for I think 3 years now, and it's very impressive to see him compete. And with little time of training, when he first started, he was so small, and I myself I was so small,
You're still so small.
I gained a lot of weight
Did
though. But seeing him improve not only his strength but also his physique inspired me to do the same. So then he was my inspiration at first, but it still was a challenge since I lost my left lung 3 years ago. I was diagnosed with tuberculosis, and in the process it was difficult for me to recover, but I managed to do so, and with training and also the help of my doctor and everything, we decided to take things slow, small weights and everything, and then eventually I increased my strength, and I decided to compete last year. And sorry, but after I started my training, it was like normal training, just at the gym. And then eventually I said, you know what? I think I can. So then I messaged my little cousin and I told him, I'm gonna compete. And he was like, yes. Like, you're gonna have so much fun. And I did. I gained a lot of experience on the day of the meet. I made a lot of new friendships with lovely people. It was so fun. It was an incredible experience, and you only gain that on that platform.
What was your
Weight?
weight?
I was, well, I competed in the 52 category, and I was lifting above my body weight on that day.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
How inspirational as well.
Yeah, because I just was telling them I would never. That? No.
So how intimidated were you at first when you got introduced?
Well, at first I did feel a little discouraged because I was aiming for a higher total, but sometimes I tend to forget about my condition. So I was hard on myself, but eventually I said, you know what? It's just not fun. You're gonna gain a lot of experience, and I'm so glad I competed. I don't regret it, and I do hope to see new people next year because it's so much fun. It's a reminder of why I fell in love with this sport, and it's only the commencement of my journey. So yeah.
Leo, when you hear stories like hers, what does it do for you and your passion for the sport?
Well, I'll tell you for sure, this year when we do go to the North American Powerlifting Regionals, stories like that, when I go do my last lifts, I keep it in the back of my head because I feel like I'm bringing them up as well when I go there and helping the inspiration. Yeah. So it's powerful. Just hearing that, it's an extra motivation. When I go train this evening, I'll think about that.
Yeah.
It keeps me going.
Yeah. So then how do you convince the naysayers, people like me, because I'm going to use myself as an example of what can I get from this? The fact that you have this condition and you're still able to compete and come up on top as well. How do you give advice?
Yes, it did help a lot with my health. I had a weak immune system before I started, and when I started training, I noticed that I wasn't getting sick that often. And then apart from that, you do feel empowered because for a while you feel dependent of others with my condition, and being able to now gain so much strength. And I didn't have much training, but I gained so much strength just being at the gym working out that it made me feel independent for once. Like that felt very empowering. I loved it. And for those who have been, because I know a lot of people don't want to compete because of their total, they feel it's low. And I felt the same. I was so embarrassed, but like they say, comparison is a thief of joy. Like on that day, I didn't compare myself. And I just had fun. Like the moment that I stopped comparing myself, I realized it's actually really fun. Okay. And I was so proud of my total. Even though I did do a little less than I did at the gym, I was so proud of myself.
Of course.
Like, I did all of that.
So now we could ask you to put the 5-gallon pan de cooler.
My family, they have me like carrying stuff. They're like, hey, you can deadlift. Like, you can carry that now.
But it's a change in perspective,
Yes.
not only your personal perspective, but the perspective of those around you who may initially view you, and just for the sake of not having a different term, but as weak and fragile
Yes,
initially, to now saying you're strong, and you telling yourself, I'm strong and I could actually do this. That's incredible. Leo, let's talk a bit more about your journey as well. I think you are an example in terms of one of the athletes in this sport that has discipline, and you've been consistent over the years in developing your skills and developing your strength.
Well, when I first started the gym in general, which was 7 years ago, which happens to be their gym, Kinetic. I've been with them for my whole journey to this point. I honestly started because, you know, I had a lot of weight issues, and then I was going through some personal issues, and then had a bit of anxiety that I wasn't there mentally or where I wanted to be as a person. So over the years, I found that it was something that I had no problem keeping consistency with. And then when we did find the sport of powerlifting, I found that, wow, this is something that I can wake up and do every day. And since then, it has been something 4 times a week, every day. We prepare. And I can tell you, when I first started, let's say my my squat was like 300 pounds. My bench press was like
nothing.
200.
300 pounds.
And then my deadlift was like around 420, 450. That's 4 years ago. Now where I'm at now, it's a stark difference. It's like, me seeing that is like, man, it's a testament to myself. I can achieve what I want. I have goals. Not just with powerlifting, but in life. If I can do it with this, I can do it with anything I do outside.
I was going to ask how it helped you to face the challenges that life throws at you now.
Well, thankfully for me, I think the trainer that I have, we're very, how may I say, we're like a checklist. We have checklists of how we want to attain things. So usually before the year starts, we'd be like, all right, what are we doing this year? We're going to compete internationally, or do we have a different objective that we want to accomplish this year? And we talk about it, and from there, we checklist. All right, we need to do this first, this, and that. With that kind of training and that kind of mentality, when it comes to my life, I operate in the same way. So it's like, all right, this is what I want to accomplish for myself this year. This is how we'll do it. What's the time period? And checklist.
Shakira, my final question is, from you started in the association, how have you seen its development and growth to get persons involved in powerlifting?
Well, I'm not an executive of the association, but I am an athlete, right? And so I believe that the association provides a platform for us as athletes to be able to, so we train, we enjoy the sport, and it allows us that platform where, as you heard Veronica, witness, the feeling you get of accomplishment. And also what you may have done in the gym, training, you may not necessarily have those same numbers when you hit the platform, because training and competition are really different, right? I mean, the environment is different and all of that, but the platform that competition gives you is one. For me, I use it to push myself. These are the goals that I set, and this is what I have to do, and so that helps me to do that. Without the competition, I think it would be a little bit, difficult, and you have a little bit of room with yourself, and you say, oh, well, I don't have a competition, so I don't have to do this. But if you know that you have committed to that, then you will say, well, you know what, I have to do this. I have to carve out the time for this, and that's what, for me, competition does, right? Whether it's locally or internationally. And I think the association plays a part in, growing that with the athletes who commit to their training and to the sport.
Now, Ms. Tsai, just as we wrap up, I don't want to gloss over your story as well. You're a mom, right?
I am, yes.
You said your daughter.
My daughter
competes as
yes,
well.
she competed
Right.
locally and internationally.
That's,
so last year we
and
had,
you compete yourself as well. Tell us a bit, just briefly, about your journey, and for also for those women out there that, like you said earlier, might say, "Oh, that's not for me. That's too much."
No. I would say don't put any limitations or restrictions on yourself. You never know what you can do until you actually give it a try. And this is a sport that, like with most sports, will give you something back. It helps you to have a little bit of discipline and routine in your life, right? Your children are watching you as well, right? And so you're setting an example for them as well, just by the process of doing that. With us, I think, so my husband is also our trainer and coach, right? And so I got into it first. My husband is the one who is the brains behind, okay, this is going to be your program, this is what we're going to do, and that kind of thing. And he charts it for us, right? And so we execute. So the first year, my daughter, she wasn't really interested. I mean, she was only 13 at the time, right? And then the second year, Leo's sister came around, and they're friends, and so they said, you know what, let's try it. And they did it locally, and then they were able to qualify to compete internationally, right? And so, you know, they're in this environment that helps them to do that. Yes, it's a little bit challenging to say, well, you know, a group of 13-year-olds, how do I get them to be disciplined and all of that, right? We just need to work with them, right? They take their time to do this, and yes, it's a little aggravating because they're not focused and all of that, but we have to be a little bit patient as well, right? So we rope that in. They get it, right, over a period of time, and you know, they do it.
So you have a home filled with power lifters. So there's nothing light in your home. You open the door, you have to put really hard.
We have to wait for make somebody put the 5-gallon pack.
Well, sometimes she says, you know what, I'm a little bit tired. Dad, can you do this?
One house groceries. Nobody go back for seconds. Everybody take out groceries.
Exactly. That yes, I will admit to that. But yes, you know, and so I think, you know, we all benefit from that. Their friends start to see this and that kind of thing, and so, you know, and it grows little by little.
Guys, thank you all so much for stopping by. Powerlifting in Belize is a growing sport. I know that Paul normally covers the competition, so I know he knows what's happening around in this sport, but we hope to see it grow. And, you know, Sofia, congratulations on your win as well. Yeah. We are going to take our final break, and when we come back, we are wrapping things up. Don't go away.